Let's talk about this Michael Oher situation. So Michael Oher, if you don't know who he is, he's the subject of the movie The Blind Side. He was a high school football player, left tackle, that he didn't have a permanent home. He didn't really have a family at all. And he was bouncing around from really home to home until he met the Tuohys, or Sean Tuohy found him, I guess, in real life. And like not like the movie in the movie, it's different. But in real life, Sean Tuohy finds him and he becomes part of the Tuohys and is eventually adopted, or so we think. But from there on, he would star in football in high school. He'd been playing football for a while, probably since like middle school, but he at least played all 4 years in high school where he was all state, I think his senior year in Tennessee. And eventually got recruited and played for Ole Miss, where he played well enough there to get drafted into the NFL, where he played several years in the NFL. And he also won the Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, the team he was drafted by. So, yeah, he spent several seasons as left tackle in the NFL. That's just a quick summary of who Michael Oher is. But let's get to what this story is about, because he's claiming that he was never legally adopted and instead tricked into signing into a conservatorship where he thought it was part of the adoption process of him getting like adopted by the Tuohys. But yeah, I guess he found out like earlier this year. I think it was like February this year. He found out, probably doing something with like paperwork, and I guess something came up where he just found out he was never officially adopted, and he's claiming that he never got the money from from the movie, from his likeness being used in the movie, and that the family, the Tuohys, were all paid for that. So yeah, and that just sounds scummy. And I gotta mention that Sean Tuohy, the father, or I guess like supposed father, the supposed father in the situation, but he claims they all got paid. Like they split the money they got from Michael Lewis, the author of the book The Blind Side, and that they split it 5 ways with Michael Oher. And also the brother says the same thing. I think he was interviewed on Barstool. And also, like Sean Tuohy says, the conservatorship was for the NCAA to allow Oher to go to Ole Miss and have the Tuohys do their duties as boosters to get him to go to Ole Miss, their alma mater. And maybe that was true. The conservatorship did maybe allowed him to go to Ole Miss. But also, why never tell him he was never officially adopted if that's true? And like they didn't deny that. Like I haven't heard like the Tuohys deny that he wasn't officially adopted. So that seems like it probably is true that he was never adopted. And that is just scummy, man. Like if you never tell someone you took in and cared for, and like they probably cared for it. I think they probably cared for it to an extent, but they also saw the money there. They also saw the money symbols in the story of him like going to Ole Miss, him getting drafted in the NFL, him not having a home, and them like just them taking him in and caring for him. And yeah, I don't know, like that just seems scummy. That just like in that way, that just seems scummy that they saw his story as dollar signs. Now, I don't have all the facts in the situation, so I'm not gonna assume that they like everything here is true. But yeah, from what I hear, it just seems pretty scummy. And getting to the movie itself, I would say I thought the movie was fine when it came out. Like it was good. I saw it in theaters, but like it was good, but it wasn't a movie that I wanted to rewatch again. Like I think I've seen it twice since like the movie came out, and both times were probably on television. Like it would probably air on TBS or some channel like that. So yeah, it was fine when it came out. But at the time, I didn't think as critically as movies as I do now. But still, I was still kind of feeling that these white savior type of movies aren't really for me. Like I don't know. Like I just down the line, I was just like, I don't know. I'm just not connected to these movies, as opposed to a movie like Remember the Titans, which like the movies are vastly different how they approach race, but they're kind of similar on how they are kind of a crowd pleaser. But with the Remember the Titans, Denzel Washington is in the lead role, and it's not really a white savior movie. Like you got the other coach being like a white ally, but he had conflict with them near the beginning of the movie because he was kind of tossed out of the head coach position. So yeah, I would compare with that movie. And like Remember the Titans is usually like it's definitely a more of a rewatchable movie, and it's a movie I've seen so many times. And one of the reasons my opinion went down the movie is that Michael Oher himself hated his portrayal in the movie because it made him look dumb in the movie. Like, you see some of the scenes in the movie where he's just walking around when the Tuohys actually finally get him, and Leanne Toohey's played by Sandra Bullock in the movie, when she gets him to go and stay with them, he's just walking in the rain, really just like being sad. And that seemed like something that never happened, and it just made Michael Oher very much look dumb in the movie. And he didn't like that because a lot of people assume stuff about him when he played in the NFL or in college, and he would very much surprise people because he was not like that when people like were teammates with them. And I don't know, like that seems very scummy too, that they would portray him like this. And also they made it seem like he just started football in high school, and the Tuohys were the ones to get him to play football when he had already been playing football for a while, and he played basketball and he was on the track and field team. And like what I've heard is he was pretty smart and he was organized. And when the movie makes you look dumb, that just like, man, that probably hurts. And with portrayals in movies and television shows, I'm kind of alright with producers, directors making embellishments with characters and stories. Like I talked about this with Winning Time, like the show about the Lakers in the 1980s, like them kind of embellishing like the portrayals of characters in there, like with Jerry West and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And like I'm kind of alright with that because it doesn't make them look dumb, but it kind of sets them in a different light, I guess, which also is kind of a problem with that, like the real life people. But I'm alright with it from someone watching from afar. But when it makes someone look dumb, like The Blind Side did to Michael Oher, that's where I kind of have a problem with it, because it just, it really insults their intelligence. And there's also this big scene in the movie where Leanne Toohey, Sandra Bullock, is at Michael Oher's practice, and she marches onto the field to show him how to play left tackle. And something like that never happened in real life. And it made like Oher seem even more dumb because it made it seem like he didn't even know to play like his position left tackle. And in real life, he actually knew, and he'd been playing that position for most of his, like, I guess, high school like playing time. So it just seems to me that the producers didn't know who Michael Oher was, and the Tuohys didn't really care how he would be portrayed in the movie. It just seemed, this seems very scummy, because I feel like they would probably be like consulted about how the characters are being portrayed. And you got Leanne Toohey being portrayed like well with Sandra Bullock in here, and then of course with Sean Toohey being played by Tim McGraw, and of course Sandra Bullock winning the Oscar. And I have nothing against actors, of course, like Sandra Bullock winning the Oscar. I know people have been saying, "Oh, take her Oscar away." She might deserve it more after portraying Toohey caring like this. So I don't know. And of course with Quentin Aaron playing Michael Oher, he did a good job too. So I don't know. The actors did a good job. I don't have anything against them. I think they're cool. And also, let's get to the timeline from when Michael Oher graduated in high school and then went to Ole Miss to when the movie was released. So spring 2005, that's when Michael Oher graduated in high school, and then of course would go to Ole Miss in fall 2005, play football there until 2008. And that's the whole thing about the whole thing about the Tuohys being boosters comes up here. And it seems like they might have been. Even the movie addresses that at the end of the movie, but they make the investigator kind of look like a villain or kind of like a hard ass or whatever. But the Tuohys might be the ones that are kind of like the bad guys in here. We'll see. I don't want to describe them as bad guys, I guess, but they had their alma mater in mind about like where to send or where to influence Michael Oher to go to, I guess. But he would go to Ole Miss, play for Ole Miss, attend Ole Miss from 2005 to 2008. So about a year after Michael Oher starts playing football at Ole Miss, The Blind Side: Evolution of a Game, the book, comes out on September 2nd, 2006, written by Michael Lewis, who also wrote Moneyball, which also was turned into a movie. And get this, Michael Lewis and Sean Toohey were high school classmates and friends. So that seems kind of fishy also. Sean Toohey was probably like, I have a good movie quality story I have here in my family. Can you write about the story in your book and we can all get paid for this when the movie comes out? So I don't know. That seems really suspicious right there, that they're they're high school friends right there. So not too long after the book came out, I think production of the movie was probably from 2008, early 2008 to maybe early 2009, like somewhere in that range. I'm not sure. I couldn't find when the production and the filming when the movie was. But the movie did come out on November 20th, 2009. And this was after Michael Oher graduated and got drafted in the NFL. And this is around the time where he was starting his NFL career. So they kind of capitalized on him getting drafted. So it wasn't a matter of 4 or 5 years that the book and the movie got produced. And that seems fast track to me. Like, it seems really suspicious because it just seems they wanted to fast track this so they can just get this up right away while Michael Oher is in college and really couldn't really be part of the production of the movie, and him not being able to consult about his portrayal in the movie. And there's probably an NCAA violation if he was a part of it. Like, there would definitely be an NCAA violation if he got paid for it at the time. But I know the movie came out after he was done with college. So yeah, but all that seems fishy to me. It all seems like the family wanted this to, they wanted the money right away. They wanted the story to get out right away while he was in college. It feels really suspicious on how this seemed kind of fast tracked. Like, I would compare this to Moneyball, Michael Lewis's other book that was turned into a movie, and that was about the Billy Beane, the general manager of the Oakland A's, and their 2002 season. So the Moneyball book came out a year after in 2003, and the movie wasn't released until 2011 in September. So that took about 8 years after the book came out. So you go back to The Blind Side, where that movie came out 3 years after the book came out. So that doesn't seem unusual because sometimes there's books that get made in the movies that quick. But yeah, with all this, I don't know, with the book being written this fast after Michael Oher graduated high school and went on to college, and then the movie coming out. And usually stories like this would come out when the player is maybe done with his career or is towards the end of his career. So yeah, and yeah, of course the Tuohys were kind of behind this. I know the Tuohys might not have been a part of the production and how that timeline goes, but they might have influenced it. They at least tried to get it off the ground here with the book being written. I'm definitely skeptical of the Tuohys, but I still really don't want to presume guilt on them just yet. But yeah, everything about them just seems okay, I don't know. It just seems really suspicious on how they looked at Michael Oher here. And also, it's not all black and white. They may have done some shady stuff, but they probably still cared about him, I guess, in a way. Maybe they didn't care about him enough where they didn't see dollar signs, but I feel like they still cared about him in a way. But yeah, and they say they care about him. They're denying all the stuff he said. But John Tuohy has all these fast food restaurants that have popped up. He got Landon Tuohy doing speaking engagements and them flying on private planes. And none of the stuff is bad. Speaking engagements seems kind of cool, but I don't know. It seems like it just built off them using the likeness from Michael Oher, and yeah, that just seems shady. So yeah, with wealthy people, they just they'll justify shady actions sometimes, and they try to justify it enough where it doesn't seem wrong to them. It just seems right to them. They're probably saying, "Oh, we're taking care of Oher, and he's gonna play in the NFL. He's gonna earn a lot of money, and yeah, we deserve some money. We deserve some money from." Taking care of him. I'm not wealthy and I justify stuff too, buying this microphone, which is cool. I didn't need to buy it. It was expensive, but yeah, I thought it made me look professional. But yeah, I didn't really need to buy it, but I justified myself into buying it. So yeah, but they probably thought they needed to be compensated for taking care of Oher. And I don't know, Oher's probably he's probably likely well off financially with his NFL career. I don't know about that. I don't know everything about that. But yeah, you still want respect. And when you find out you're not officially adopted, then yeah, you're going to get mad and you want the money that you were owed for your likeness being used in the movie. So I think it's about respect mostly. But yeah, you want the money. You want the money from your likeness being used. No matter how wealthy you are. So yeah, I hope Michael Oher gets the money he deserves. If these claims are true, which it seems like they probably are. You can give me your thoughts on the situation. What are your thoughts on this whole thing? What are your thoughts on the movie The Blind Side, I guess, if you want to talk about that, I guess. So yeah, until next time, I'll see y'all later. Peace out.